7th episode of Low Key Track. My name is DJV, your host, and if you couldn't tell by that intro, this week's episode is GNX. I love this album. I have been a Kendrick Lamar fan for a very long time. He's one of, obviously, the big three, as it was once called. And I've had phases with all three members of that group throughout my life so far. And Kendrick is the one that I'm most infatuated with at the moment. And I think the one that has the most longevity out of all of the artists creatively. Commercially, I think Drake has it. And J. Cole has his own lane, but in terms of artistry and creativity, I think Kendrick surpasses both of them quite easily. And I am super excited to talk about the low-key track on this one and also, watch him perform at the Super Bowl, which, as of this recording, is going to be this Sunday. So let's get into it. So for those that don't necessarily know who Kendrick Lamar is, he's a rapper and musical artist originally from Compton, California. He signed with Top Dog Entertainment, or TDE, in 2005, and eventually a joint deal with Dr. Dre's label Aftermath, plus Interscope Records in 2008, and has released multiple acclaimed albums since then. Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, Damn, which actually garnered him a Pulitzer Prize in 2018, as well as Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. And the most recent album, which is called GNX, named after the Buick Grand National, which is the car that Kendrick's father was driving the day he drove Kendrick home from the hospital after he was born. That came out in November 2024, so just this past November. And it's coming off the tail end of an incredibly relevant and successful year for Kendrick. We got the very public rap beef with Drake, him being in the Super Bowl halftime show, and now a stadium tour with SZA, which is happening this summer, and I would love to go. Let's see if I have the money for it, because I looked at ticket prices and those are not fun to look at. That being said, I did see Kendrick on the Mr. Morale tour, and it was amazing. One of the best shows, if not the best show I've ever been to. So I just kind of want to get into this. So let's talk about the low-key track from GNX. So as of this recording, the low-key track is the title track. It has a little over 47 million streams, and the most popular track is Luther, which is little over 360 million streams. No surprise there. Kendrick and SZA are a incredibly winning combination. So why is the title track the low-key track of the album? Well, here's what I think. So looking into it, first thing I noticed when I first listened to this song, and rather on repeat listens, Kendrick is only on the hook. Every other song on the album, including my personal favorites, Squabble Up, Hard Part 6, he's got verses, he's, a part of the hook, but he's laying down his stuff. He's doing what Kendrick Lamar has always been known for. But on this one, he's only on the hook. And I think that's a pretty intentional creative choice, because one thing that was coming out of the beef that Drake tried to accuse Kendrick of was he doesn't put on artists from his home, his city, from California, from Compton, and he doesn't want to use his platform to do that because all he wants is everything for himself. So Kendrick responded by doing exactly that, rather the exact opposite of that, and he brought on a bunch of artists locally from California, from around Compton, and he put them on the album just as a way of showing Drake, hey, I'm tuned in with the culture, I'm tuned in with what's going on, and I'm absolutely willing to utilize my platform to increase the platform of these artists. So on this song in particular, it is a couple of, three Los Angeles-based rappers, Hidda, J3, Peso, Young Threat. And these guys are definitely staples in LA hip-hop, and they're incredibly well-known throughout the city. And they don't have the national profile yet. I think the appearance on GNX is absolutely going to raise their national profile a little bit. And I was looking into this. I got a little bit more background researching some of the features on this album, because there's artists on here that I haven't been. I'm not in the culture per se. I appreciate the culture. I love the culture, but I'm not fully tapped in. Just just out of maybe me aging a little bit. So I went and I did a little bit of research, and what I uncovered was a little bit of background on these features. So Hida J3, he's actually a longtime friend of Kendrick's, and he has a remix of his track "Do You Goodda" from 2014. Kendrick is on that, along with YG and Jason Martin, who at the time was known as Problem. So all three of those artists I knew, and so now seeing that Hida J3 is pretty well associated with them, it's clear why Kendrick put him on this album and on this song. Two other artists, Young Threat and Peso, both from around the Los Angeles area. Peso's originally from Maywood, and they both have some regional buzz. They've got a few tracks. I took a listen to them. Not my thing personally, but definitely catchy stuff. Definitely stuff that people can dance to, and that people that are within the confines of those songs, and rather of the environment around those songs. It's definitely super good for them. So that is part of a overarching reason that I think GNX is definitely less of an artsy project by Kendrick. Don't get me wrong, there's lots of artsy songs on here. Reincarnated. I think Hard Part 6 is just a beautiful tribute to TDE and the artists on it. Gloria is one of those, reminds me of, if you guys know Common's track, I used to love her, very much reminiscent of that, where you think he's talking about like a girl and a love of his life or whatever, but he's actually just talking about hip hop itself. And I really enjoy that track. Hot take, I think that is probably the best track that Kendrick and SZA have done from like a artistic and creative standpoint. Don't get me wrong, love Luther, love Doves in the Wind, love even 30 for 30 on SZA's Lana re-release, on the SOS re-release. But definitely I think Gloria is my favorite of all those tracks. So going back into my third point here, I think another reason why the title track is probably the low-key track of the album is coming down to the production itself. The production is definitely, I think, more of an acquired taste, not as instantly accessible. When you hear like Luther, you hear the Luther Vandross sample, and you hear, it's a nice, like, smooth riding beat. Squabble Up has that hyphy, like DJ Mustard sound mixed with like G-Funk, and that is a really, really cool combination. It's just instantly ear catchy. What are some other ones? I mean, just kind of looking at the track list itself, there's a ton of super cool concepts that he's playing with, and a ton of super cool production to back that up. And then, TikTok trends as well. You have Hey Now. I've seen trends for that. I've seen trends for TV Off, as indicated by the intro, with him screaming mustard into the mic. I've seen Peekaboo. I saw a really cute TikTok trend with a bunch of animals, and it's just like cute pets, and you hear the bing bop boom 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 bop bam, and it's just a bunch of different pics of animals, and I think that's super adorable. So there's a lot of TikTok trends here, and the pattern that I think I see amongst all of these is that all of the songs I think have pretty consistent production and pretty, like, as you expect rhythmically production, and the title track does not have that. And I was looking into prior why, in the lead up to recording this, and I found an interview with the producer of the song. He's a guy named Rascal, and he said that Kendrick reached out to him, or rather, Kendrick's team, with him, Soundwave, maybe Dave Free as well, reached out to him, and Kendrick specifically asked for a beat that was, quote, some ignorant West Coast shit, but let the drums have space. So I think that in itself informs the production as a whole. You have, when you hear the beat drop, the drums don't necessarily come in on like the one as you would expect, or even on like what I should say. I think, sorry, they do come in on the one, but they just don't come in when you expect them to, if that makes sense. And that actually reminds me a little bit of like Jay Dilla, for anyone that's like listening to like a Jay Dilla, any of Jay Dilla's albums, any of Jay Dilla's production, that he does that same thing where the drums don't come in when you expect it to. And I was actually reading this book called Dilla Time, and he was talking about like aristocratic production versus like Dilla Time, and it was basically like I think it was the 1 and the 3 are Dilettante versus the 2 and the 4, which is more aristocratic. And that was super cool to me. And I was listening to the songs like as I was reading the book. And I think I kind of hear that here, whereas this beat, while it's not like the greatest beat in the world, it has that sense of like they're almost fighting against the beat, if that makes sense. But they're also like on beat as well. And that's something that I think people who appreciate, that those like little trinkets in that kind of production might come to like. I don't think it's executed like the best here. I think especially like the features itself, like I think they're fun. They're just not amazing artistically. But that's okay. Not every song has to be some artistic wonder. I think this is a very fun song, and I think this is going to be super fun to play, especially like on the West Coast. DJs will probably play it. It might just come on at like bars and stuff when people are out, and I think it's fun to like dance to and just like really just talk your shit and kind of escape from some of the negative aspects of life and just be the own main character in your story for a little bit. And I think the title track accomplishes that very well, if that makes sense. But compared to some of the other tracks on the album, I think that it's the low-key track for a reason, just because there's so much strength on this album. You have Squabble Up, which was teased in the Not Like Us music video and is finally out. Whacked Out Murals is just like a really intense intro, and is super, super interesting. I think I've already said a lot about Luther. And then, TV Off with the meme with Kendrick screaming mustard into the mic. Even like Dodger Blue, Roddy Ricch singing on it. People are enjoying that. I've seen trends for that. Peekaboo, and then also Gloria just being another Kendrick and SZA combination. And Hard Part 6 has I love Hard Part 6. I feel like that's my second favorite track in the album after Squabble Up. Just that SWV sample, and then it's a very like that beautiful tribute to TDE and to the artists that are there. And I think it's a great album. I don't think that every single Kendrick Lamar album has to be, this artsy social commentary, incredibly deep album. Some artists, I think he just wanted to kind of release a fun album in that regard, and he very much accomplished that. I won't say it's my favorite in his discography. I think my personal favorite to this day is probably To Pimp a Butterfly, but it's definitely a fun addition to his discography, and it's definitely what we needed after the rap beef, because when you're looking at the whole thing of the rap beef and just going after Drake and Euphoria, 616 in LA, Meet the Grams, Not Like Us, like there's so much vitriol there. Like, it's insane. And as someone who has listened to Drake for a long time and was once a very big Drake fan, it's super fun to see somebody kind of bring Drake down to a particular level, at least within the confines of hip hop, because Kendrick is a student of the game, more so than any of us can say, and he breathes hip hop, and it's incredibly satisfying to see a lot of love get pushed back his way, and it's incredibly cool that he's getting to perform at the Super Bowl, and I'm super excited to watch that. So these are the reasons why I think the title track is the low-key track of the least streamed song on GNX. Of course, if this is your personal favorite song in the album, that is awesome. Dance to it, enjoy yourselves. For me personally, I think, as always, the purpose of music is to build a connection with yourself at a deeper level and create healthy ways of expression as you navigate life. And I think this album does that very well. So thank you guys for listening to the 7th episode of Low-Key Track. This is, again, available wherever you get your podcasts, and you can follow me on social media at TheFakeDJV, and you can also follow the podcast account at Low-Key Track, where you'll see clips and mixes and things like that. Thank you guys again, and until next time, hand-to-handshake is good when you have a heart-to-heart.